What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping into Sabretooth issue number 1. And if you haven't really been keeping up with the X-Men, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. I got playlists on top of playlists of everything that has been going on with them ever since the Empire event. But this issue is huge because Sabretooth, he was sent into exile. And in that exile, we have no idea what happened to him. But writer Victor Lavallee and artist Leonard Kirk are going to show us exactly what is inside of Krakoa. Now, be sure to buy the comics, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue number 1, we are picking up with Sabretooth at his hearing, with all of the quiet council surrounding him. This is the day that they sentenced him to exile. This is the first time that they ever sentenced someone to exile. And with him being sentenced, he vows that he will come for all of them, that he will eventually escape, and their children, all of them will suffer. And we see Krakoa open up, taking Sabretooth down into its depths. This is where Sabretooth stood as an example. The 3 mutant laws were created, and if they were to be broken, this would be the harshest punishment that they could dole out. But now that our recap has come its course, we pick up a little bit later down the line, and we have Sabretooth out in the wilderness, and it appears he escaped Krakoa. And out here in this wilderness, he is hunting. He is hunting the biggest and the best predators that roam this land, taking down a bear with his bare teeth. That is where the X-Men find him. Finally catching up to him, they go to take him down, with Jean Grey using her powers to try to put him in a kind of sleep state. This is all in an attempt to keep him dormant while they bring him back and put him back into exile. The only issue is, as they begin to get closer, Sabretooth is able to break loose of Jean Grey's hold. Freeing himself from the grasp of Marvel Girl, he immediately goes to attack Cyclops. Knocking off his eyewear, he uses the laser projection to take out everybody, incinerating almost the entire team of the X-Men in a moment. Nightcrawler goes in, gets close, he gets personal, but that is where Sabretooth thrives. That is his home, and with him getting in close, Sabretooth takes a chunk out of his neck and throws him to the side, because Nightcrawler, he went in to grab the heart of Sabretooth. And though he was able to accomplish this, Sabretooth is still standing. And that's what takes us to a little bit later, with Sabretooth in chains in jail, not really sure what's going on, assuming that they caught up to him, that when he was in his comatose state, when he was healing up, they must have found him and brought him here. And that's when Cipher comes in the room, and he is pretending to be a DA, and he lets him know that he is representing the state, and the state feels like he has been judged just a little bit too harshly. The state, of course, being Krakoa, with Cipher asking him how he was able to escape, how he was able to get out of exile. But the thing is, Sabretooth is not able to tell him, and that is because Sabretooth, he didn't actually escape. With Sabretooth hearing enough of this, he goes in, he attacks Doug, and he beheads him right there on the spot. But with Cipher's head rolling around on the ground, he asks him if he's done, if he is willing to hear him out now, letting him know that they have had this conversation before, or at least a variation of this conversation. The reason he doesn't remember is because Krakoa has been making sure that his memory has been wiped, thinking that it would make him go mad, trying to do him some kind of courtesy while he is stuck here in exile. But what Cipher is sitting here offering is that Krakoa can't necessarily free him, but what it can do is grant him mental freedom. And so from now on, he won't forget. He will remember everything. And of course, this is an offer that Victor, he simply can't pass up, because while his body will still be in prison, his mind will be free. But during this conversation, Cipher says something that's actually pretty interesting. saying that Charles Xavier has come to the conclusion that doing what they did to Sabretooth simply won't be done anymore. The Sabretooth is the one and only, and that they will never take it to this extent. Now, we know this to be a false statement, because just recently in the Hellions line, we saw Orphan Maker and Nanny sent into exile. And so the question is going to remain, does this take place before that, or does it take place after that? But of course, Sabretooth, he is going to sign this. He knows he doesn't have any other choice. This is his only way of having some kind of freedom. And so now, having his mind free, his greatest wishes, his biggest fantasies, they come true. His first target is Charles Xavier, dashing him into pieces, then going for the Iron Fist, then taking on anyone that believes that they are the top dogs. Now, obviously, this isn't all happening, but with his mind being free, he is able to do whatever his imagination can possibly think of. But after all of this killing, something happened to him. He was able to sit down, take the time, and contemplate, no longer forgetting everything that happens. Sabretooth thinks to himself, I have been thinking too small. I need to think bigger, that I truly could become more inside of this place. Not simply an assassin, not simply Sabretooth, but something more. And so we see multiple different versions of Victor all sitting down, kind of like a conference inside of his mind. All the bits and pieces sitting down and coming to a conclusion of what they do next. And so began the age of Creed the King, traveling the lands, taking out anyone who stands in his way. In every place he went, he left his mark, the mark of Creed. And after that, there came the time of Sabretooth and the Starjammers. These guys are basically the CIA, but in space. Now, while he is doing all of this, people on Krakoa, they are beginning to see ghosts of Sabretooth. And what appears to be happening is that everything he is dreaming up, every fantasy that he is creating, it's been manifesting in some form, not really understanding what this means. All the while, Victor has truly found his home. If his body has been thrown into the pit, his mind has chose to go even lower. Sabretooth has created Krakoan hell, and the king of hell is Sabretooth himself. Every day he watches the torture and torment of everybody he can imagine, sitting upon his throne and watching this punishment dealt out. That is, until something happened. Something that has never happened before. The sky begins to crack, and from that crack, we see objects appearing to fall from the sky, with our Krakoan Satan going to find out what this is. We see 5 individuals. We see Third Eye. We see Melter, Oya, Madison Jeffries, and Necra. And though this is very confusing to Sabretooth, because Cipher told him that there would be nobody else down here, that no one would ever be sent here, so he was never expecting company. But somehow, these 5, they have found Krakoan hell, and unfortunate for them, they have come face to face with the devil himself. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue number 2, we are picking up at the Quiet Council. With the verdict already being done, we have 5 mutes who are being put down into the pit. Each of them breaking one of Krakoa's laws. Knowing the punishment, Xavier and Magneto, they let them know that they can make no exceptions. Of course, Cipher and Krakoa itself, they are opposed to all of this. They are opposed to having the pit as a prison, because Cipher was told when this place was begun that there would be no prisons. And now he is going back on that. Xavier is becoming a liar, saying the situations have changed. He believed that everyone would love this new paradise and they wouldn't need a prison. With some of the mutants proving him wrong, he feels he has no other option than to do exactly this. Create the one thing he said he would never do. The 5 that are being banished is Necra, Oya, Melter, Third Eye, and Madison Jeffries, letting them know that this is more a glorified timeout, that they will have no torture, they will have no pain, they just need to serve their time, and once that time is served, you will be let out. And so, picking up with our 5 after they have arrived in this hell landscape, they are trying to make a run from it, trying to run for their lives. And as they are running, as they are scared to death, they're trying to figure out why Xavier would lie to them, why he would tell us that this place is not a paradise, it's not something that's torture and pain free. This is legitimately hell, with most of them coming to the conclusion that Xavier more than likely doesn't know about this, believing that he would never allow this, especially after what he said, that Xavier may be a lot of things, but this is not him. While most of them are trying to make their run for it, trying to escape the grasp of Sabretooth, we have Third Eye. He recognizes that this is something more. This is something else. Using his powers, he is able to reach out, and he knows exactly what is going on here, with all 5 of them meeting up and ganging up on Sabretooth, at least one of the Sabretooths, because there is kind of a council of Sabretooths here that are ruling over everything. We see them fighting for their lives. We see them fighting and taking on Satan himself. But in the midst of all of this chaos, we see Third Eye come out and he tells Sabretooth, do you want to tell them or should I? Letting them know that this is the pit. This is the real thing, that everything else is an illusion, with vines connected to all of their bodies. They are in more of a stasis. They're in a hibernated sleep, and everything they're seeing is all just illusion. The only issue is nobody actually knows that this is happening. Everybody on the surface, they believe that it's all tranquility, that there is no torture, there's no pain, that they're just in a timeout. But the truth is, Sabretooth has created a hell down here, with Third Eye reaching out to somebody besides Magneto or Xavier, not trusting either of them just in case they have some way manipulated this situation, in case somehow they were involved in creating this hell. Third Eye wants to let somebody know. Going up to the surface, this is where he runs into Mole. Mole, now living on Krakoa, once a mute living in the sewers, almost being killed by Sabretooth, living to tell the tale. He is now on Krakoa trying to live a normal and better life. But Third Eye, he asks for the help. Asking Mole for help, Mole goes to talk to some of the others, to talk to some of the leadership in the Quiet Council that may be able to help them out. And Mole, his first person, the first one he runs into is Apocalypse, which lets us know that this is taking place in the past, that this is before Nanny and Orphan Maker, before Toad had been brought down into the pit. It's gonna be very interesting to see how those guys play into this. But with Apocalypse just being too busy, with Storm being too busy, Wolverine, honestly everybody blows Mole off, and finally he decides he's going to handle this on his own. He's going to figure this out since no one wants to help him. Taking us back into the pit, in some kind of another illusion state, we see our 6 individuals. We have Sabretooth and our 5 that were banished. What appears to be an illusion of both Xavier and Magneto. How these illusions work and how everything is being manifested down here is still left really unclear. You know, Sabretooth was able to create more or less his own hell. Cipher and Krakoa seem to be helping him out along the way, but now they're in a prison. Now they're all locked together, they're all in jumpsuits, and it doesn't really explain why that's happening. This could be more of a metaphor saying that this is how the pit is. This is the reality that we are living in. But with them now discussing what they're gonna do next, Melter, more than anybody, he wants to get out of here, because the truth is, he didn't actually mean to do anything wrong. He was testing out his powers, he was practicing using them, trying to control them, not knowing that a boulder on the island was part of Krakoa. He didn't protect this sacred land. He melted this boulder down to almost nothing, telling the others that that is why he has been sent down into the pit. And if this is true, we have to wonder how Krakoa feels about that, because Krakoa already objected to the idea of prisons, objected to the idea of using the pit to begin with. And with them making no exceptions to the law, especially for accidents like this, it's showing just how corrupt, how ridiculous Xavier and Magneto have been with these laws, becoming almost tyrannical, with Sabretooth letting them know the truth of the matter is that they're probably not getting out of here. They're probably going to be locked down here forever. And while many people, they may underestimate Sabretooth, they may not think that he is smart enough to scheme and plot. That is exactly what he has been doing, saying that Satan recruited 5 angels in his revolt against heaven, and that is exactly what he plans to do. If the 5 care to join him, he is going to bring hell to the surface. The gods that walk the ground are going to pay the price. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 3, we are picking up deep inside the pit, this manifestation known as Krakoa State Penitentiary. And right now, Sabretooth is telling them the story of the 3 men that were able to break out of Alcatraz. And as he goes on this story, Melter says that maybe they died. Maybe they just drowned in the water and no one ever found them. And why does any of this matter? Because we are all jacked into Sabretooth's mind. So all of this is just a manifestation. But Sabretooth is letting them know that he has walked on the surface of Krakoa, not knowing what was going on at the time. He was able to manifest himself. But now he wants to try it again. But he wants to try it with all of them. This is his big escape plan. Bigger than the escape on Alcatraz. But to do this, they are going to have to manifest all of themselves up there. And they're going to have to get the old crew back together. The first objective is to find Scrambler. Necra and Oya are the 2 sent up to go find Scrambler, manifesting in the shape of sand and rock. The 2 of them know very well that Sabretooth is not on their side, and in fact they have no obligation to go do anything he wants. They're gonna go do their own thing and try to find a way out of here. That's what brings them to the shoreline. That's what brings them to Bling. Finding out that the time frame that they are currently in, as they stand here on Krakoa, everyone is preparing for the Hellfire Gala. Bling has been out here patrolling, and she lets them know that everybody has been looking for them. What the Quiet Council didn't tell the people is that they were tried in a secret court, and they had been sentenced to the pits. After Bling hears this information, she has no issue in helping them in anything that they need. Their second objective, that is to find Vertigo, with Third Eye being the one sent up there to go and talk to Mole. We learned that quite a bit of time has passed since the last time they had a discussion, bringing them to the conclusion that down there in the pit, time moves much differently. Because for Third Eye, that felt like only a couple of days ago. What Mole has been doing is trying to get word out about Third Eye being down there in the pit. The biggest problem, making sure that Professor Xavier didn't find out he was spreading this information. The way he does this is going to the mutants that are more or less invisible, that aren't part of the X-Men or Excalibur or X-Force, the ones that Xavier looks over every single day, that he doesn't even waste his time reading their minds, much like Mole himself. Step 3 is locating Prism. As Madison Jeffries appears in front of Skin, he quickly recognizes this is not the person he is looking for, but nonetheless he sits down and the 2 of them have a conversation. And though this conversation is very brief, Skin has to ask the question, why are you here? Letting it be known that he is trapped inside of the island and he is supposed to be finding bad guys to help break them out. The truth is, this isn't him. This isn't what he does. As he battles through his moral conflict, we pick up with Melter, finding himself at the Quiet Council. He has finally found the place that he has been looking for all of this time. And this is where he runs into Professor X. Now this holds significance because in the first pages of this comic, we see Melter, he hurt a lot of people, a lot of mutants on Krakoa. Not only that, before he came to this island, he hurt people close to him, not being able to control his powers. Professor X also knows that Melter has been poking in to Quiet Council business, trying to find their secret meeting place, hoping that he can eavesdrop and find out what's going on. Professor X had warned him all the way back then that he need not look for this place and he will not get another warning. So when Professor Xavier walks in here, he's thrown off guard a little bit because he's not supposed to be here. But Professor X, he is very calm about this, letting him know that this is everything you wanted and now you have it. Believing this to be a little bit odd, he questions him, asking the professor if he can find his parents, with Xavier agreeing to do this, saying that it wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. This is where Melter knows this is not Professor X. The jig is up, and now they have figured out this is Sabretooth. Melter is the one individual that Sabretooth has not trusted, and for good reason. Melter believes in Xavier's plan. He believes in the dream. He believes in Krakoa. Even despite being trapped here in this hellish land, he refuses to let Sabretooth do what he does. Unfortunately for Melter, he doesn't have a choice, as Sabretooth grabs hold of him, his body broken and mangled, begging and pleading to stop all of this. We see the meeting of the Feral Council, all of the manifestations that are Sabretooth. The entire council, they're trying to figure out why Sabretooth has done this huge elaborate plan, believing that every step of the way, all of them have failed you. Even now, as Melter sits here in this room, what has actually gone according to your plan? The truth of the matter, everybody that he sent for, he could care less about them. Believing that there was a much better path to victory, believing that they could find some other kind of way out of here. He knew that no one on the surface was going to care about Victor Creed. While they may think that they are the best thing to ever walk this planet, the truth is many despise them and they are very self-aware of this. But they are not trapped down here alone. There are other individuals down here that were put here in secret, and because of that, we can use that. We can start an uprising between the people of Krakoa and the Quiet Council. He plans to turn all of the populace against the Quiet Council, to expose all of their secrets and bring down a nation without firing a single bullet. Third Eye has been able to notice something very unique going on with all of them as they are suspended down here in the pit. While they are all connected to Sabretooth consciousness, their physical bodies are hanging here inside of Krakoa, and slowly over time, we have seen that they are able to move in the slightest of ways. For example, Nekra and Oya, they are able to hold hands, believing that this connection is helping them through this ordeal. Melter has also been reaching out. He has been reaching towards Sabretooth. Now, Third Eye believed he was doing this because Melter is looking for somebody to look up to, a mentor, some kind of leader to follow. As the Feral Council is having their meeting, the broken body of Melter, we see his powers start to manifest in his hand, and he lets them know that this is probably going to kill all of them. They are all connected to his consciousness, and while he doesn't want to sacrifice his own life and everybody else's, he is willing to do whatever it takes to protect Krakoa, that it is worth the risk to stop Sabretooth. Having Melter's physical hand touch Sabretooth's physical body, we see his power ignite. And with this spark, Sabretooth is burned down to his very skeleton. Alright guys, we are finally starting to get to the end of all of this. And to be honest, I wish it was a little bit longer. They have been spacing out the Sabretooth for quite some time. They've been really dragging this one out. And it kind of sucks because of where it's taking place in the whole timeline. Because I was really hoping to see some Orphan Maker and Nanny. Cause man, did I absolutely love them in the Marauders line. Like, they wrote Orphan Maker so good that you wanted to cry for him because of just everything he was going through and how Nanny would treat him. But this story is picking us up with Third Eye. Melter, he tried to set everything ablaze. Third Eye is the one that was able to save all of them because he is able to use the astral plane, tethering all of them to this. He is able to save them while they are all recovering. He goes up to the surface and he goes to poke around a little bit. That's what brings him to Wolverine, Charles Xavier, and Jean Grey. They are preparing to put him into his whole 10 lives and 10 deaths. But Jean Grey, she suspects something's in the area. This is where Third Eye learns that he does have limitations. More importantly, they are all distracted, taking us over to Dukes and Skin, the two of them having a discussion because Skin is seeing people that he believes is dead that shouldn't be alive. Everyone believes is dead. Seeing these individuals, hearing their story, this is getting spread around. Even if people don't believe him, the story is out there. And while Third Eye is trying to hold on to everybody's consciousness, Sabretooth was one of the hardest for him to hold on to. His death came very suddenly, but he also had a lot more practice in dying. And so his mind, it took him not out, but in, further deeper into his mind, as if he knew that he could hide with inside his memories while his body was doing all of the healing. This is when we see him be able to manifest himself using Krakoa itself, looking much like Black Tom would look. He goes over to a nearby cave, and we have Mole having a discussion, telling Magma that there is a way to save Sabretooth and all of the others. If the stories that they say are true, then we need to get them. Mole having idea using Magma is the only way that they can be freed. As Sabretooth listening on all of this conversation, he steps on a twig and he has to disappear. But what we are learning is that the message is being spread. The word is out. Sabretooth and others are in the pit. Sabretooth being in the pit for doing a crime that a law didn't even exist for yet. The idea that people join Krakoa, they do the bidding of Krakoa, do what they can to protect Krakoa, but if you are not in the in crowd, you are easily disposable. Because the truth is, there are other individuals that have killed. There are other individuals that have done very, very crazy and bad things. Sinister being one of them, but there are many individuals that simply get a pass. This is exactly the message that Sabretooth wanted spread around. As he sits down with his council, they let him know that the seat, it is there for him, that he can sit on it, he can rule for as long as he would like. And while he really does cherish that idea, he really has grown to love having a hell. But after being up on the surface, he realizes that there is an opportunity for a comeback. That's what takes us to Third Eye. Now that all the consciousness have recovered from all of the individuals stuck here in the pit, one by one we see them lifted out of the river. And that is where they are greeted by Sabretooth, inviting everybody inside, sitting down, having a discussion. Because while they have had their disagreements, really Sabretooth just reigning over them like a devil, like Satan himself, today, he is coming here with a proposal. The truth is, all of them came to Krakoa believing that it was a good place that they deserved. After everything that they have done and contributed to this place, this is their ultimate punishment. And all of them, evil and good alike on the Quiet Council, they voted for the pit. Sabretooth being the first, but definitely not the last. But now with all the word going up on the surface, there is finally an opening, an opportunity for them to get out of here. And the big question everyone has been asking, what did these guys do to deserve being down in the pit? Because it really hasn't let us know in much detail. Necra and Oya, the two of them, they were killing mercenaries and pirates. They were trying to get into Krakoa to hurt people, to steal, pillage, do whatever they liked. The issue is, they didn't have a title of Marauders or X-Force, so they were seen just as lawbreakers. Melter, he broke the third law. Respect the sacred land. The truth is, he dared to step out of line, to want a bigger role on the island. Madison Jeffries, also the third law. because Jeffries loved Danger, once known as Danger Room, and we are actually seeing Danger inside the Wolverine line. We have seen a baby Danger, possibly having something to do with Jeffries. But he tried building a haven on Krakoa, and in doing so, it was rejected by the island, with Danger being rejected by the council, cast away, sadness and anger all inside of her. Madison, the one who loved her, he was thrown into the pit. And then Third Eye, he broke the first law, make more mutants. Using his abilities, all of the people that were making orphan babies, orphan mutants, just having children and leaving them in the orphanage, not to care for them, not to be their parents, just being very careless and reckless. He showed everybody the inconvenient truth, the possibility of what that child could be because of the circumstances you left them in. Because of that, the birth rate on Krakoa, it dropped by a quarter. And so for this, he was thrown into the pit. What we are seeing is that the Quiet Council, they had been using the pit just to dispose of people that ticked them off. We are seeing how truly biased things are. That if you're not one of the big timers, if you're not a big leaguer, then you are easily disposable on this island. That is the word that is getting around to everybody. And that is what picks us up with Cipher and Sabretooth. Cipher sees everything that is going on the surface. He is hearing the whispers in the shadows. He understands the inevitable truth, the fact that eventually somebody is going to break them out of the pit. And so he has no other option. Either let him out or the people are going to do it on their own. Krakoa and Cipher together, believing that this is probably their best option, especially if they don't want Krakoa hurt in any way. Cipher agrees. And from the ground in front of the face that is Krakoa, we see the hand of Sabretooth rising up. Alright gang, so as we get into the finale issue, we are picking up with Sabretooth making his getaway. Now Mole and Magma, they had come here to try and free everybody that was stuck in the pits. But the only one that has risen up is Sabretooth. Exactly how he had planned, exploiting other people's plans, heading all the way to Nanny's Cove. This is where he finds a vessel, a boat waiting just so he can take it out and be gone. Necra and all of her low-rent Amazons, they kept a boat here, and that is exactly how he is getting off the island. When they had offered to help Necra, they didn't realize that they were also going to be helping Sabretooth. But Sabretooth, he doesn't get off this island without a little bit of confrontation. That is when he runs into Mystique and Irene. Even Destiny is in a little bit of disbelief that Sabretooth is actually here, not believing it until she saw it with her own eyes. As Mystique just gives him a good beating, Sabretooth isn't really fighting back, trying to figure out if she is going to turn him in. This is where Destiny intervenes, asking what it's going to be. Sabretooth is going to be surprised by the answer, because today they are choosing chaos. And with that, Sabretooth is let free. That's what takes us inside the pit, with Necra pointing out that they see all 5 of them, but where is Sabretooth? This is when Cipher lets them know that he is gone and it is all his fault. And while he is not asking them to sympathize with him, he is letting them know that he stole a boat and he took to sea. Necra, at first, she is really concerned about Roxanne, thinking that maybe she had been killed in Sabretooth's escape plan. But really all that happened is a lot of people were knocked unconscious. Everyone on this end of the island had got knocked out because Krakoa, it reacted instinctively after that major trauma. But there is still time for them to go after Sabretooth. But they're never gonna put him back in the pit, saying that he has done enough damage to Krakoa. He shows them the throne of Sabretooth. Sabretooth had made this hell, but he didn't keep it with him. And so here it remains, a part of Krakoa, letting them all know that Sabretooth had made a bargain, that he would stop the rebellion up top if he was let loose, not mentioning any of the others. The truth is, it's easier to hide one escapee than it is 6. Now this is where we get what I have been waiting for. Orphan Maker and Nanny. The thing is, it's not 6 prisoners, it's 9. The deal that Krakoa and Cipher are offering them means that all of them go. That includes Toad. At this point, Necra's like, who are we even taking with us? I don't know who these people are. Toad saying, we don't know who you are either. Orphan Maker pointing to Melter saying, I know who that is, that's the Human Torch. But Cipher tells them it's all of you or none of you. The truth is, Sabretooth changed Krakoa like any virus would. This throne sits empty. He would hate to see what happens if Toad or Orphan Maker sit in that chair. He dreads the hell that Nanny might create. His goal is to keep this throne empty. And on the surface, Professor Xavier, he hears what everybody is thinking on the surface. The little doubts, the rebellion that had been ignited, people believing that he is a tyrant, that he doesn't belong where he is. All of the rumors that are getting around. Because mutants, they may be immortal, but their reputations are not. With Cipher bringing everybody to the surface, they tell him to track down Sabretooth and drop this tiny little skull piece in the soil on which he stands. And so this is not an assassination attempt. This seed won't kill him, but he will wish that it did. That's what takes us to the open sea. With Sabretooth making his getaway, he has every intention of returning to Krakoa with an army. As he makes his way through these waters, this is when he runs into something. This something, it lifts his ship up out of the sea, letting him know that he is in unauthorized territory. We see an inhibitor collar come out of nowhere. It attaches itself right to his neck, and now they are admitting him to Station 6. This is a for-profit facility operated by Orcus. Here, he will be tested in purgatory. And so while now he is locked up yet again, Orphan Maker, Nanny, all of the other individuals inside the pit, they are hightailing it across the ocean, trying to locate Sabretooth. Off in the distance, we have Destiny and Mystique looking on this, and Mystique is wondering, what is the purpose to all of this? Destiny is saying that Sabretooth, he's not going to be able to succeed alone. And right now, that is exactly what they want Sabretooth to do. So many lives are at stake. They also need the 5 to resurrect Birdie. She deserves to live again, Destiny says, but far away from Victor. Mystique having to ask the question, can a bad man ever do a good thing? Destiny, she is hoping so. And for what she saw, Mystique wouldn't believe her if she told her. This is where we pick up and we see Sabretooth sitting in what appears to be a throne, saying, "To me, my exiles." And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This was definitely a lot of fun. This last issue, it brought in everything I was hoping for. We got to see Orphan Maker, we got to see Nanny, we got to see Toad. All of them released from hell and going to stop Sabretooth. But there is a good possibility that stopping him is not what is going to happen, especially after what Destiny said. This army that he is amassing, because what they did, they dropped Sabretooth into Station 6. Station 6 is a prison for mutants. If Sabretooth is able to overthrow this facility with the help of Orphan Maker and all of the others, he could become king of the exiles, having a mutant army at his fingertips, ones that are probably not too fond of Charles Xavier in the Quiet Council. And so while things might have been looking up for mutant kind, having so many things against them for a long time, Game World is finally off the board, things are finally starting to look a little bit better, and then nope, we got Sabretooth and his army of exiles that are more than likely going to be making their appearance at some point in time. When Mystique says that they chose chaos, they most definitely chose chaos. With this only being 5 issues, it really was a lot of fun. Krakoa now officially has a hell. If somebody sits on that throne, it gives them a very unique amount of power. Cipher's really trying to keep people out of hell at this point. Charles Xavier also being unaware of this situation, or at least that's what we are believed to see so far. So we can only imagine once he does find out about this, he is not going to be very happy. I, for one, am super excited to see what comes next. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything that happened with Sabretooth, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by hitting the super thanks button. This button will let you donate directly to the channel, and every little bit helps us out. Now, if you can't do that, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure that you like this video, and until the next breakdown.